Hello my friends, welcome to this video. As you know me, my name is Owen Fox and I'm delighted to have you here in today's beautiful video made in the gorgeous nature here, this blessed new day. I want to talk about how triggers are based on the past, but how we respond to another person or even within ourselves in our own trigger is based on today. We are not the victim or have to be the victim or bonded to our past, but we can, as powerful creators, choose to create anything new in our lives whatsoever today that didn't exist in the past that we want to experience for both ourselves but also for other people who we may love and care for, or even be in a relationship with, or just anybody in our life in general. So the best way to deal with a trigger in another person is to tune into your heart, to have that as your intention, to be heart-centered and to be caring and concerned within you, in your vibration, in your energy, in your words, in your tone of voice, in how you speak to them. And one of the most loving, sweetest ways we can communicate is to not actually speak, to actually listen, to hold space. That's the secret. It's the modern word, to hold space. And what does holding space mean? It's a mixture of communicating and talking, but also developing a connection. A lovely, sweet, beautiful bird joining us in the video. So holding space is to create an environment, a space, a beautiful bubble where somebody feels safe. Okay? And what usually happens is people usually feel, when one person is triggered in life, let's say someone's really annoyed at you in traffic, they're triggered, they're upset, they're frustrated, they're projecting and expressing pent up and blocked down and old emotions from their childhood even onto somebody else. That's called projection. But they think it's your default, so it's like it's a distortion of their mind. They blame you, but really it's not you, it's somebody else. You're the messenger, you're like the mess ender, the messenger. You're delivering a message saying, hey look, I just did this to you, pup, but you went, oh my goodness, this is so sore. The person is delivering a message that you still have very tender and hurt feelings within you that you have not fully acknowledged and felt yet or expressed yet. So the mess ender or the messenger is not to be confused with the message that they're showing within you, and that's actually called mirroring, because sometimes we can't see how we look on our face, right? So what do? We stand in front of and look into a mirror, and the mirror reflects, a reflection, or shows back something to us that we didn't see very readily or easily within ourselves, right? Oh, sorry. So I just want to make sure you can see me properly. Sorry for the noise. So how we usually respond is when somebody behaves in a way that's not caring and not loving to us. What happens within us is often we feel hurt or attacked or blamed unjustly or wrongly. And what happens is our non-developed, the part within us that hasn't healed or expanded to a higher frequency yet, because we are in a state of maturity and maturing constantly. Just like how children, they haven't learned how to fully deal with their emotions at a younger age. They have tantrums, they scream, they plop and flop on the ground, they throw things, they knock over things. But that's not wrong or bad, it's just a state of progression, it's a learning curve. Us humans as adults are also on a learning curve of greater expansion into our higher self, the self within us that's more of unconditional love, the part where when we pass on out of this physical body we will be in unconditional love, but we can also develop and grow into that more and more and more into human, beautiful human form where we're grounded on earth all at the same time as in our higher selves. And many people call this like fifth dimensional frequency. You know, we're in and out of the fourth, which is the old one, the current one that's predominant, but so many of us are awakening into the fifth dimension. More and more throughout our lives and throughout our day and week. So Well, usually what happened in history is a fight or an argument would ensue, which basically, as I said earlier, it involves a speeding up of conversation and an interrupting of each other. It's not holding space. Holding space is more of a fifth or higher frequency. It's where you look with somebody with the eyes of compassion and love and care and sincere concern, and you don't take what they say in their distorted filter and hurt, their perception of you. You don't take what they say very personally. Like, you listen with a mature mind that maybe they're giving you feedback of something that you did that could be improved upon. Maybe you could act nicer or better or more thoughtful. Maybe you could look after the needs or tune into the feelings or of the other person. There's so many ways we can improve everybody. So let's always be open. But we don't have to take their like sharp blows to heart as if we're like a terrible person or we did fatally wrong or we're really bad people, etc. Instead, we can step up and hold a space, a safe space for them to feel safe to express themselves without feeling that they're going to be attacked right back by us, you know? So it also involves slowing down and listening, but also responding with our facial language and our body language in a more of a sincerely concerned way, where we may ask them and inquire upon them gently and tenderly from a sincere place, not from an interrogative, well, why did you do that? Well, what about this when you did that? Well, why are you acting this way? Can you hear the tension, the hurt, the upset, the disharmony in my voice when I give that example? So instead we could always say like, I'm sorry if that really hurt you. Like, I can see how that makes sense and that you could feel this way or think this way, and I'm really sorry, and I'd love to like get better at this. I'd love to make amends and like grow into a better person, a more expanded state. Like I'd like to do better, and I want you to be happy. And you don't have to talk forever, you know, but you can say these at some parts of the conversation, and you can talk more like quietly like this, you know. You can make eye contact. Just sincerity, man. That's what I'm talking about. It's just sincerity, but it takes an intention to tune into your heart to be in that sincere place, where you kind of, to a certain degree, you don't let what they say stab you in the heart. You become aware of your own triggers that may be unearthing, that they may be messengering from you, from your childhood. Be very careful, because when we get hurt and triggered ourselves, we will do what they're doing to us. We will typically blame them and want to shoot them down and think that they're a terrible person, and maybe even tell them how bad they are also. So this is the breaking of a cycle, my friends. This is what I'm talking about here. When we can identify the differences between what I'm saying. And I'd potentially recommend watching this video twice just to try and let it sink in, because there really is a lot of information that I'm sharing here that I've taken me lots of years to learn and to practice and to become aware of, you know. At the end of the day, love and sincerity and a true heart and fifth and higher dimensional frequencies. There's a beautiful pigeon. They're based on togetherness, working as a team, one cosmic and human and intergalactic, and one natural family with all of the elements of nature and plants, animals and insects and microorganisms, how we all help each other and we all contribute to each other, how we all affect one another, how we're all part of each other's lives, affecting each other and bringing good things to each other too. You know, we all work as a team, even if we don't realize, like, everything we have has been made and given from nature and other humans and microorganisms and even insects and animals playing their part too. It's very interesting to think about that. But in relation to this video, love and higher frequencies is based on feeling connected to and part of and caring for and contributing to and knowing you're being contributed to and fed into from everywhere else, including the people in your life and in your relationships and those who are your messengers. Now, usually the biggest messengers for your healing is the people closest to you, that you often may possibly spend the most time with, or the people you've spent the most time with in the past. So for example, it could be your parents, It could be possibly your children, depending on your age. It could be someone else you're really close to, like a brother or sister or a friend. It could be a work colleague if you spend a lot of time there. But ultimately, it tends to be a romantic relationship. You spend a lot of time, there's a lot of emotional investment, there's a lot of expectations and hopes and dreams. And these people, and you for them, you all, whoever makes you the person, like unearthing the tender feeling emotions of hurt, pain, sadness, rejection, abandonment, feeling not cared for, feeling left alone. Like my biggest trigger probably is feeling not cared for or not loved. When somebody gets triggered and I express or they know I'm hurt, or I tell them I'm upset or hurt a lot by what they've said or done, and they just brush me aside and go on and even argue more or get triggered more, because it's not a time to try and tell people you're triggered when they're triggered, unless it's a very calm way, like we're both triggered, let's try be loving and tune into our heart, let's try and hold space. Like if you can lay it out and they're willing to listen and able to listen, that's good. Otherwise, a bit of space and a de-escalation of the energy and the communication is what needed. And when people don't know about this, which 99% of people probably don't, what's called drama or disconnection and fighting and arguing and nasty or upsetting breakups happen as a result. So this is like priceless, helpful information that I'm so grateful to learn from all of my teachers, and I'm so happy just to be able to share it to you and present it to you. Vivid, avid watcher who's obviously into this and you're on your awakening path big time. If you're still here and watching, you know what I'm talking about, and you're on your path of healing and progression in life and in your relationships and in your energy and emotions and vibration, and I appreciate that enormously. But yeah, you can't expect much or anything from someone who's triggered. It's not a time to talk and try and work things out exactly by talking and talking and talking or getting mental. When someone is emotional or when we are emotional, it's time to be emotional, not mental. And this is a typical thing in life that women tend to be more stereotypically in a general basis. You've probably heard this. There's how women and men are different. There's a book that may be good called Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. It's about how men and women's brains and ways are different. For example, a woman gets emotional and a man responds mentally. But in life it can be the other way around every day of the week. We're all emotional and mental. But the trick is know the vibration and energy of somebody. What's their energy, emotions and vibration? Recognize this and become aware of it, and realize what is the solution, the antidote, what's the answer. And it's to become emotional, heart-centered, and to empathize, step into their shoes. And to, like I said earlier, care, concern, tuning in, softening up, slowing down, sincerely inquiring, wanting to help, nurture, soothe. Like I said, usually we're the messengers, or they're the messengers. Usually they're not acting terribly. And if we or another person is thoughtless or inconsiderate, let us teach each other. Let us try and be a kind teacher. How would we want God, Goddess, Source, the universe, or our parents to teach us? Let's not teach from a place of blaming, putting down, and criticizing, and saying how another person's not good enough, because we're all super hurt and we want to project our past hurts and letdowns and disappointments and our past trauma and abuse onto our current messenger. Let's take responsibility for our emotions, and instead of blaming the other person, because what might happen is, like I said earlier, someone will go beep and we go, oh my goodness, how dare you do that to me, you horrible person. It's a massive reaction. It's because they're unearthing or pressing our button. They're pressing our bruise and hurt from the past that hasn't healed yet. It's not because the touch is a terrible, nasty, mean, cruel touch. It's because we are hurt. So what do you want to do? What would love do? It's my most powerful question. And in one of my previous videos, I made a video about this. What would love do? And how would we want to be treated also? Because that's probably equally up there with the most powerful question. How would we want the golden rule? Treat others like you would like to be treated. So the question is, how would we like to be treated? With respect, with honor, with dignity, with compassion, with tenderness, with sincerity, with love, with care, with wanting to help us and bring us up, to make us become not hurt anymore, not like sliced open or bruised or bleeding. We want someone to love us and help us and make us become strong all by ourselves too, you know. So it's like an analogy. If someone's running, our loved one, our partner's running, or even a stranger, it could be anybody, even a person in traffic, they get all annoyed at us. Let's say someone is running, okay, or a child, and they suddenly fall, they get a really bad fall, they hurt themselves really badly, they cut their hand and their knee and they're bleeding and they're crying. That's the analogy. That's proverbially, if that's even the right word, how somebody is when they're triggered. They're hurt. Now, if somebody fell on the ground and they're cut and hurting and bleeding and crying and they're in a state of shock and panic, do we want, because they are, triggered people are in a fight and flight mode, everyone. It's a sad state of affairs. Like, it's really, in the rational mind, it should, idealistically, in the rational mind, it would bring compassion and a stepping up to hold love and to nurture and to heal the person, help the person, you know, just like when somebody falls and is in an accident. But the thing is, usually they respond out of hurt and trigger and talking to us. It's a critical, like, type of blamey type of way in a relationship. So what we do is our armor and our weapons come up and we fight then. But the thing is, if we can just understand what I'm saying in this video, if we can understand that they're like this child or this human who's just suddenly hurt and fallen and they're in a panic fight or flight state of, and they're not thinking properly, and they're just not thinking correctly, exactly, you know, not perfectly. But what they say can be very valuable, but they're just not 100% perfectly, and they're in a fight or flight mode. What we would want to do, we'd want to be nurtured, cradled, held, hugged, loved. Now, maybe not physically a hug when someone's triggered, because they might be angry and they don't want to hug us, they think we're the enemy. But at the end of the day, from our higher vantage point and perspective, we can hold this understanding and not take what they say that may be a bit exaggerated or very even personally, and sometimes even like may appear cruel even. We don't want to take that too personally, and we want to understand they're very hurt and very in pain and they're very needing help. And we can be that healer as an equal. We can be the loving space to fall on. And it doesn't seem the way in the moment because we feel attacked and then we get triggered and our past comes up to be acknowledged and to be felt. But from the space I'm talking about, we can actually hold space and for ourselves in a certain regard. Like, we can quietly feel and recognize and understand and identify and ask ourselves, when did I first feel these feelings? For example, for me, I felt emotionally abandoned and emotionally rejected, and just basically like put aside, left alone. I felt alone, sad, rejected and abandoned emotionally, and even physically to a certain degree, in unsafe places where I felt very, very vulnerable. For example, school, where for whatever degree happened, I was traumatized a lot in my early years, and then I was put in school, and I just for some reason couldn't or didn't make friends in school, except for 1 year I did, but then I lost all the friends because I took compassion on someone who was a loner or being bullied, and I befriended them and sat beside them, and then all my other friends told me to go away, and I lost them all, and that's okay. It's the way my life was meant to be. But the point is, lately I've recognized this is my biggest trigger, and now I feel free because I used to project and blame and attack my partner for acting in a triggered way, which I felt was cruel and cold and uncaring and even mean. But these are all my own judgments and labels, everybody. They were just hurt. They were like the child or the adult who just like fell and hurt themselves, and they're in a desperate state of fight or flight. You can't expect this frequency from someone who's in this frequency, either from ourselves or from another person. So the secret is awareness. What are we feeling? Why are we feeling this way? And when I identified why I was feeling this way, is because of, and identified this is because of what happened to me in the past. And then I realized this is not because of you. You're not making me feel this way. It's not your fault as a bad, wrong person. It's me. You're the messenger, and I'm the person who's acting the pattern of being the victim and being hurt and being perpetrated against. And I kind of feel like emotions rising now and little tingles because I acted in a way that was hurtful to my partner as a result, and even my mum and other people in my past, my ex-partner, even my ex-partners actually. Luckily, I have a am ready now to learn this lesson of this big wound without blaming a loved one or another person. Because everybody, we will never, the way to end generational and ancestral and family trauma and patterns is to do what I'm saying in this video. Is to learn where your hurt and pain comes from. I don't even remember 99.9% of my memory, my childhood before the age of 8. But the 4 little memories I have of my father, he's a beautiful soul and a gorgeous soul family person when he was alive. But he was doing what I said in this video. He was acting generational pain and trauma unconsciously, and he was acting in a way that led to a lot of hurt, pain and trauma in the family. My sister and 3 brothers and my mum and me. And my 4 memories are just 2 of them where I'm hiding from him in fear. Another one was I was running away from him in anxiety and fear to my mum. And the other one was I was trapped and stuck with him, and he was brushing my teeth too aggressively or hard, and I felt stuck and controlled and hurt, kind of. It's just an unpleasant emotional experience. So all of my memories is unpleasant with my father. Nothing else. Nothing happy or pleasant. But the thing is, I recognized, even though I can't remember everything from my childhood, I recognized I also had teenage things happen where I felt not cared for or loved by my mother. She was doing things, and I love her so much, enormously. It was very special and beautiful bond and connection and soul connection. Bless her, sweetest soul ever. I love her so much. But because when she was in the process of healing, she was doing coping mechanisms that resulted in me and maybe even others feel hurt. And I personally felt a degree of a certain level of like emotional abandonment or emotional rejection or being pushed aside and being alone and sort of not important to my feelings and me. So what I recognized lately is I only have love and compassion for my mum in this subject and everything else in life anyway. You know, that's another thing I've been learning lately. People are trying, everyone. They're trying. We're trying. Let us not judge and be really hard on each other for trying. Trying to feel okay in life. Trying to get by our day. Trying to feel harmony. Trying to feel peace. And sometimes we may use stuff like whatever. Like a stimulant, food. Everyone uses different things. A drug, a this, a that, a medication, a legal or non-legal drug, a habit. People use sex, spending, oh my god, overworking, like buying things, jeepers, I don't know, over-exercising, like all sorts of stuff. But let us not judge for anybody trying to cope. But let's try and love and nurture and compassionately empathize and understand. Tune in the moment awareness and being present by tuning in is the game changer, is the pattern breaker about ourselves and another person. So when I felt so free and happy when I realized my pattern, and I realized now I'm no longer the victim. I'm not at the mercy of another person now, like not being able to give what I need. So for example, if I need morning ma'am, if I feel if I need care and loving attention and tenderness, but somebody can't give that to me right now, and that's the trigger from my past of feeling abandoned. It's okay, now I don't have to get angry and think the other person's a terrible person and really mean and cruel or whatever else. That's the way I felt, everyone. I'm just being real because this is going to happen, and this is in your life now with you and somebody else. And maybe one or both of you are acting it this way, where you're like acting like someone is so cruel, terrible, bad, cold-hearted, mean, unfriendly, disrespectful, all these different words, everybody. But when we're in a lower hurt vibration, it's so easy to think these and to tune into them. But when we step out and into the moment from a higher vantage point of understanding and recognition of where all the pain and hurt is coming from both people, then we can have compassion and we can do things like tenderness and soft voice and being quiet and to stop talking for a while and maybe come back to it later, and we can just try and help one another, you know, instead of fighting and hurting each other more, you know. I was about to say earlier, like if a child or an adult fell on the ground and hurt themselves and cut themselves and they're in a panic state of shock, would we want to go over and start slapping them and hurting them more? No, never, never. And that's what we do when we're emotionally hurt everyone. And it definitely, it makes me almost like brings tears to my eyes, and it makes me feel very emotional there, because like that's what we do to one another, everyone, when we're hurt. We hurt each other more. Think about it. We never want to hurt each other when we fall and we're bleeding and in a hurt state of shock and pain. So let us try not to do that, and intend it today not to do that when we and others are hurt emotionally this way. Yeah, let's be a safe place for one another to fall, everybody. We can do this. We are not the victims or the slaves to our past. We are the powerful co-creators and creators of today, now, and our future. And that's beautiful. And I think that concludes this video. It's a beautiful day. I hope this video has helped, my friends. Thanks for watching. We're all soul friends, soul family. My mum planted lovely flowers in the garden. She loves the garden. There's our apple tree. It has over 100 apples this year, the most ever. I love these trees. I talk to them sometimes, and so, a while ago I was sleeping out here underneath the trees, 2 trees. And there, over there, is a bird bath, and the cat also drinks from it. And I joke to some lovely children in my life saying, why is the cat drinking from the bird bath? And I say, it's because the birds go tweet, 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 tweet. And they're saying to the cat, we don't want as much water. Can you lower the water in the bath for us, please? And then the cats go, meow, meow. Yes, 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 we'll do that. And then they start drinking from the bowl. And they're like, Owen. Owen. Anyway, just thought I'd land on a light note. Take care, everyone. Lots of love. And be sure to share this video with your friends and family, and your loved ones, partners, anybody, to help them to overcome and stop past generational trauma and ancestral patterns, and to move forward and create a beautiful life for us all, much nicer and fresher and sweeter. And also do give it a like, and make sure you hit the bell button for future notifications. Otherwise, you may miss future videos on holistic health, and especially relationships and inner healing and awakening and expansion, and raising our frequency and vibration, and just overall sometimes other health and holistic health and lifestyle and diet and fasting or detox tips and this, that, and the other, you know, herbs, superfoods. And also do check out for my links below for beautiful music that I recommend, healing, high vibrational music that you can play in the house during, after, or before any triggers, any opportunities for ending the mess. Check out my website for one-to-one consultations, or even consultations in a group, and also for my 2 books that I have so far, and I'm making a 3rd one. Check out my higher self herbs, herb and superfood store for helping our bodies and to just raising our frequency and vibration also, as well as other little links and tips and recommendations and nice music and different playlists that I check out in the links below, as well as check out the links below, of course, for befriending me on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And I love to connect or collaborate. I'd love to hear how you feel if you like this video, so please either leave your comments below or send me a personal message. And if anyone wants to collaborate, please, I'd love to work with lovely like-minded people to raising the vibration of the planet and working together as a holistic, loving team who care for one another and co-create a lovely planet together. Yeah, I use Facebook the most, just to tell you. But yeah, I think that's it more or less. So yeah, thanks for your love and support. I really appreciate it. And thanks again for being here on this planet and being a unique, special, perfect. We're all perfect where we are, and just for holding a space of love and care for us all, and just wishing and willing to help and nurture one another, you know. So yeah. As I said, just to tell you again, my name is Owen Fox, and let me know your name. Love to connect. And thanks again. Lots of love to you. Thanks. Have a nice day. Bye from Ireland. Have a beautiful day with the roses and the flowers and the sunshine and petals.